Hey guys, Dr. Ruth Roberts here, and I'm at the Charlotte Airport finishing up some of my holiday travels, so sorry if there's a lot of background noise here, so we'll just keep kind of rolling with it. Hope you guys all had happy holidays, and that this season was happy for you and not one of stress and things of that nature. A lot of times that's what happens when we get wrapped up in the holidays. So we're coming back from visiting my family, and we're really sad to have had our pets stay at home, but really glad that our dear friend Michael Daly's able to take care of them and keep them happy, and they all got a massage too. So they were having a grand time with that, I think. And then plus I got to hang out with my mom's dog Copper, who's a little rescue poodle, and he's one of those dogs that you just know is filled with such gratitude. So it's been really awesome to watch Copper fit into my family, and watch how devoted my mother's become to him. So a couple of really cool things. Like I said last week, we've got the original crocpetdiet.com up and running, and we'd love to get your feedback on this. We've been working hard to get this website up. We think we've got most of the kinks worked out of it, and that's one of the problems with anything new in technology. There's always a kink or two to deal with. So, but we'd love you to check it out and give us some feedback on that website. We've got a few tweaks coming as well, but we think the experience of being able to access the information a little bit more easily will be much better, and then we've also improved the store, so it's easier to kind of figure out what's there and what's available and what's going to be a good choice for your pet. And speaking of that, the other super exciting thing coming up the first part of this year is a new whole body supplement or multivitamin. It's going to be called Holistic Total Body Support, and there'll be one for both dogs and cats. And the upside of this multivitamin is that it's certainly a perfect complement to the original Crock-Pot diet, and it features glandular nutrition to help your pet's internal organs and then the endocrine system. So if we think about this, spaying and neutering pets early has done so much to contribute to the pet overpopulation issue, but it's also created some health issues that we didn't quite expect. And so the idea behind feeding glandulars is that we can help support the immune system and in specific the adrenal glands, which really take a beating when you've gone into menopause or andropause for humans. Ladies, you especially know what I'm talking about. It's like all of a sudden the whole world changes and things that were not an issue all of a sudden are. So imagine being a young animal, spayed or neutered from the outset, which is great as far as population control, but there's other problems that can pop up like cancer, muscle weakness, things of that nature. So the goal behind the glandular supplements is to provide strength that the body needs, support those endocrine glands, and especially the adrenal glands, to help keep them healthy. And we hope in the long run that's going to end up staving off cancer and a whole host of other yucky stuff. So that's super exciting. Look for a big announcement on our website in late January, and that's going to give you a chance to try this out in a great introductory price. I've been working on this formulation for almost a year now, and it's really exciting to see it coming to fruition. So we've had a couple of questions about the Crock-Pot diet and kidney disease. And conventionally, most veterinarians will tell you that if your pet has any changes in its creatinine or BUN, which are two of the major things we use to measure kidney function, then they must go on a low-protein diet right off the rip. And I try not to do that until they're later into some of the other stages of kidney disease, because frankly, low protein means protein wasting. And if you already have difficulty maintaining muscle mass for dogs and cats that are already spayed and neutered, or they're older and starting to have to take in more protein and other nutrients to maintain the muscle mass that they've got, it's really tough to have that low protein diet go into effect. So all of a sudden dogs and cats that have been eating food that was helping them stay pretty well put together as far as muscle strength and things of that nature, we see them begin to experience more difficulty with arthritis and mobility because they're now on a low protein diet. So there is certainly a stage in kidney disease where that's a necessity. But from the outset, I think that feeding really high quality proteins and making it so that they're easy to digest, along with other foods that will help support the kidneys, like quercetin, for example, which is a supplement derived from citrus peel, or the white part of the grapefruit rind. That's really been a big boon to a lot of pets. So that's one thing to consider. If the values are not so terribly elevated, then just keep feeding a reasonable amount of protein. Keep using a wet diet, so either cooked food or canned food if you just cannot cook for your pet. And I think that's going to belay that development or worsening of kidney disease for quite some time. At least that's what I've seen clinically. So the crock-pet diet in and of itself, you may find that those kidney values begin to drop after about 30 days. So that's one major upside to the cooked diet. One of the other questions we've been getting about the crock-pet diet in kidney patients is controlling phosphorus, and that is important once those phosphorus levels start to creep up, because that's what makes people and pets feel bad. So there are things that you can use to help kind of absorb some of the phosphorus, like aluminum hydroxide. ThrivingPets.com is a great source for all sorts of things for pets with kidney disease. And then the other thing too is using proteins, again, that are easily digestible, so that it's easy for your pets to deal with things themselves. The high vegetable fiber also helps to limit the quick absorption of protein, so that again the kidneys aren't going to be overwhelmed, and it's more slowing the digestive process. So that's quite helpful too. As far as liver disease goes, again, if your pet's really sick because its liver is not working well, that is a place where you do need to drop protein levels down considerably. And that's a relatively easy fix, which we've discussed on the original Crock-Pet Diets website, as far as the Facebook community, I should say. And that's a fantastic source of information for you folks that have already purchased the original Crock-Pet Diet ebook. There is if you've not registered for the community on Facebook, the Crock-Pet Chef community, that's such a helpful tool. You can ask questions. I'm there to help answer questions, as is Olivia, and also other people that have been cooking for their pets for a while. They've gone through some of this stuff and figured things out as far as what works and doesn't work. So that's a super awesome option as well. And I think we're having connection issues, so I'm not really seeing a lot of questions come through. Some of the other questions we're getting are as far as anxiety and things of that nature. And with New Year's Eve coming up in South Carolina anyway, they love to crack off the firecrackers. And so that's where things like liquid NutriCalm can be very helpful if you've got some handy. If you don't, Benadryl can be helpful. Generally, there are very few to no side effects with that, and it can be just enough to take the edge off. And surprisingly, dogs take a lot more Benadryl than we do. So for instance, a 10-pound dog might take half of a 25 milligram Benadryl a couple of times a day, especially for anxiety. So that's another option if you're facing a night of fireworks and fun. But there's a ton of other options out there. And if your dog has thunderstorm phobia, this is the time of year to start working on desensitizing your pet. There's a ton of videos and more importantly CDs that will allow you to start things really low and quiet and gradually build up the sound volume on the thunderstorm so that your dog can get a little bit more comfortable with that idea and not get so freaked out. So that's a great option as well. And then one other thing I wanted to talk with you about is Arnold. Arnold is a dog that I had many years ago, and he lived to be the ripe old age of 17. And I wrote a blog about him last week, which is on our website. And in that blog, I sort of recapped his story, his end-of-day story, if you will. He was just such a wonderful guy and so sweet and full of love. But at the end of his days, he had gotten very weak. He was unable to do the things that he loved to do. And so he was having a heck of a time. And Arnold was the dog that caused me to realize that conventional veterinary medicine wasn't the be-all, end-all. And he's the one that forced me to start looking for options when conventional medicine was out of options. So while I didn't have the skills that I have currently as far as acupuncture, Chinese herbal medicine, nutrition, and things of that nature, he's the one that started me down that track. And so we asked in the blog if you would think about pets that have spurred you to change your life for the better. And I would love to hear those stories. So whether that's in the comment section down below this post or whether it's in on the blog site, we'd love to hear your stories about what your pet spurred you on to be better at, or how to be a better person. But the other thing about Arnold is that he started me thinking that so many of these pets are there to buffer us from the emotions of stress and worry and concern, because we live our lives so fast and we tend to not stay in the present. And I think that there's getting to be a clear link in human medicine. There's a great deal of research showing that emotions really can play a big role in how disease forms, how you respond to your disease, and how well you can recover from it. So he got me thinking again on that idea that our pets buffer our emotions, and I think that they really buffer the illnesses that we might otherwise have if they weren't helping us deal with situations. I know of families that have had multiple dogs that have had lymphoma, and so they weren't living on a toxic dump, but it makes me think that they're doing something for that family to prevent someone in the family from having that disease. So here I am, having worked way too hard and having come up with some health issues this year, which, all of the things I know and all of the doctors I've seen are helping. But it's frankly up to me to slow down enough to calm myself down, to steal my emotions. And so I started meditating, and it's not something I've had a very easy time doing, but what I have noticed is that when I am meditating and I start to get down into this nice, quiet space, this is when my pets come up and hang out with me. One of the kitties will come up and get in my lap, the dogs will lay down next to me, and then I find that at the end of 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, if I'm really able to concentrate, we're all just kind of hanging there, really relaxed, really chilling out. And then the thing that we do next is we go out and play, because I'm relaxed enough that I don't have to be so serious about life. I can take time and go enjoy that with my pets. So I'd like to throw this out to you as a challenge in this new year. If you have a hard time meditating like I do, a great place to start is with a video that Brendon Burchard did on YouTube some time ago. And I'll put the link to that video down in the comment sections here in a few minutes. But if you don't know who Brendon Burchard is, he is, if you're looking for a way to help yourself change, he's a great place to start. He's a very motivational person. He's overcome difficulty in his own life. And so this is one of the techniques that he uses to break up his day when he's having a stressful day. And the premise of his meditation is very, very simple. It's that you use the word release as your mantra, so to speak. It's something that's not loaded with religion or something different or something kind of granola crunchy that makes us all scratch our heads. It's simply asking you to release yourself from the day-to-day stuff that makes us all crazy and neurotic. So when you've got time, sit down with your pets or just sit down by yourself and make yourself comfortable. You don't have to sit on a fancy meditation cushion or anything like that, but just sit there and say the word release. 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 You don't have to say it out loud. You can say it to yourself. You can think it to yourself. Pick the cadence and the speed that makes sense to you, and just start saying that word to yourself over and over again. If it makes you feel comfortable, put a little timer on your cell phone for maybe 1 or 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes if you are feeling adventurous. Just kind of hang out there. Feel yourself drop down, feel your pets drop down with you, and then go outside and play with them, or stay inside and play with them, and wallow around like an idiot on the floor with your dog who loves you and wants to bathe you in kisses, because your dog and your cat loves you when you are this calm and this relaxed. And once you start getting into that place, it's easier and easier and easier. Happy New Year to you, to your pets, and let's start this year off right in a calm, relaxed way where life isn't such a frantic struggle. And that's going to make life easier for everybody. So Happy New Year to you and your pets. Cheers. Talk to you soon.